All right. This is in Germantown, Wisconsin, which is northwest of Milwaukee. I don't know if it's considered a suburb or it is a separate county too. I think it's in another county. You know what? I'm gonna say I don't know these things for sure. We're here for Skill Space, and we are in the general area of Germantown for the downtown Germantown, and we're at swing time. Shouldn't be too hard to find. They've got mini golf, batting cages, and I thought I just hit a couple of balls. They have a nice. They have four sizes of balls that you can get at various prices. The smallest one was $6. I thought that was great. I've been to some driving ranges, and that's a good fair price for a small basket of balls. It might have been 25 balls, maybe 30, somewhere in that range. So, but skill. Here's the reason. The reason this is like, it kind of came to mind is like, the reason this is important is because the in-between, the soft skill. So there's the hard skills, which are, we've gone over it a bunch, but like the flow arts, the juggling related stuff, yo-yo kendama, these are like the hard skills. Like we know that they're skill, that's not an issue. But what about the driving range? What about miniature golf? What about batting cages? So these are definitely like skills. Like they're things that you do. They're also not necessarily competitive, although mini golf is, but I don't know. I think it's very rare, and it would be very unusual, and probably the way to write a good funny film for there to be competitive mini golf. It just lends itself to being like, hey, this is fun. Now, as I'm walking up this little mounds and hills over here, I'm thinking about the skill space out here. This is the kind of thing with private property that I'm assuming this is all private property out here, except for, you have to kind of look into this as far as like easements. Like there's no sidewalk, so there really is no easement, but like this, there's a word called a berm, which seems to say something about like the edge of a field near a road or near another feature in the environment. I don't know if this constitutes a berm, but like I'm saying, it's like this. Even though this is really nice, this would be great skill space. I don't think that this is this is probably not the place to go and just be like, hey, let's come out and do some skill out here, right? But to go along with that, you could always. This is the kind of thing. If you're on the local level, or you get to know the owners, or you ask and you say, hey, you've got this really great spot out here, except for these power lines. Like that's a pretty big detractor right there. Don't really want to do skill below power lines whenever possible. So if anything right there, that's probably a good reason to not do that. But what you could say, if we're stretching this out a lot, you could say, hey, me and my skill people, skill team, we're offering to do a little, like demonstration, like near the road or something, so people can see, more attention to your business. Okay, probably not that great of an idea, actually, but you start getting the idea of like what you can do with skill. Even though now that's going into the whole thing about performance. So even though in that case, you can kind of say, well, hey, we're not really performing. We're just hanging out here, doing our skill for a moment, maybe for 5-10 minutes, maybe take a break, then, do a half-hour break, then do another 5-10 minutes. Or the other thing is say like, hey, for a place like this, if you have your team together, you could say, hey, we could set up, we could have an event you've got the space, we could have an event, something like that. I mean, you could work something out. The point is, this is not really good skill space at all, even though the ground itself is pretty nice. You got the power lines, and it probably is private property. I'm sure that I'm almost positive this is private property, so don't really skill on private property unless you have the permission or you're being hired for an event or something. Or they're saying like, yeah, you can set up, come on and do skill here. Like, we want to have you do skill here because it will attract more people who do skill, and it'll also attract people who want to hang around and see people doing skill, which usually they do. Which gets into a whole other thing about downtown areas and busking and street performing, and how some towns are actually hiring street performers to perform, flow artists too, and getting and so they're, in some cases, they're able to get tips and to get a check, to get paid to do what they would normally do otherwise. Okay, so moving on. So back to the question about skill and soft skill. Is miniature golf, is batting cages, is driving range, is this soft, is it skill? To what extent is it skill? Do we call it soft skill? And how does it help us to understand what skill is? So skill is generally non-competitive. So if you're working on your skill at the driving range, you're not competing against anyone, it's just you and the club and the ball. Seems like that's a skill, or that's in the realm of skill. Same thing with the batting cages. And then the miniature golf, has that fun element and is maybe, I don't know to what extent you want to call it soft skill or not, or in that category. Where is it? So, but this example, and I'm going to just walk towards the actual features over here instead of pacing back and forth on this lawn over here. But so you can get a sense of what this is about a little bit more. And this is swing time in Germantown, northwest of downtown Milwaukee, sort of in the suburbs, or they may consider themselves even being like another, they may not even consider themselves a suburb. They're like, we're our own thing, we're not like a suburb. Don't know how they, that would be something for on the local level to figure out. But yeah, miniature golf, I mean, the cool thing about miniature golf is that it's like, and why it's sort of, the issue of the competitiveness of miniature golf is, it has to do with like that every hole is different and whimsical and fun. So what, it makes it kind of, it sort of takes the element of the competition out of it, because the environment, each hole is sort of challenging you every time, which is part of the fun of the whole thing. It's a lot of the fun of the whole thing. It's just, what exciting feature is going to happen next, and how am I going to navigate my ball around it. So yeah, that's a little bit about it. So in some ways, this whole place, or a place like this, could be considered like a skill park. It could be, but yet it's, so this is something that's like closer to what we're looking for. I mean, it's certainly closer than like a lot of other things that we've looked at. I mean, this is probably in some ways like the closest, or if not, it's in the group of the closest things that we're looking for. Yet it's not that, it's not exactly on, because it's not on the money, because the things that we are looking for is specific to those specific skills that we're doing, and these are very well defined. Now, if they were to, in the future, some futuristic day in like 10 years or something, maybe they'll take all this space right here or someplace over there, and they'll say, hey, skill is really has really come around now, and we'll make a skill green, a skill area. Maybe it doesn't even need to be that big. Maybe just as big as like this area right over here, something like right here. Of course, you don't want to get in the way of any other types of activities going on, the batting cages, the miniature golf, or anyone entering and exiting. But I mean, as this becomes more defined, or as it becomes more understood in the public conscious, because right now we don't. It's kind of there. I mean, like, it's already kind of there, because it's like every parents will buy their kid a yo-yo, but it's like, well, where are they supposed to do it? They'll buy them a paddle ball, and they could do it in their room or something. But it's like, where are they gonna really take that out? And there's really no place. You could go to the park, but it's like, what are you doing with a yo-yo at the park? You should be doing something else. So, and those are just like some of the basic examples. But there's really no pogo stick, and I would say pogo stick would be a skill, which I haven't really talked about before. Pogo stick has actually gotten much advanced in these years, and there's now like pneumatic or hydraulic pogo sticks that launch you 10, 12 feet in the air. You got to look into it. It's pretty crazy, and they do all these acrobatic stuff too. I mean, so it's like pogo sticking has reached the level of like extreme sports, but they're not. Again, there's no. They probably are not allowed at skate parks, and that would also be a question as to whether pogo sticks would be allowed in a skill space. I think the general rule, which just would make sense, is like, if any skill is imposing on any other skill, like if there's not the space or whatever, if there's not the space or the features needed to do that, but let's just say there was like a really large area that was both a parking lot, or that had a concrete aspect to it, as well as like a grassy area. And it was like, hey, pogo sticks can go on the concrete. I don't think pogo sticks in general want to be on the grass anyway. I don't think, neither do skateboards. Just like, nah, I'd rather not skateboard on that grass over there. Except if you're on that gigantic skateboard where like 20 people can fit, which just by chance, or just by the way it worked out, is that huge, gigantic skateboard, which you could look up. I think it was Lance Mountain's. I wound it up at Skatopia. So yeah, it's like if I think there's going to be different. I anticipate there's different types of skill space. Some of them might be small. Some of them are medium sized. Some of them large. Some of them like super, super large. And there might be even a time when there'd be like a vast expanse where it's like, hey, we've turned this. Almost like I don't think we'd ever get to the point of like a 18-hole golf course. Like I don't see the need for that. But, I think the maximum would probably be like the size for a 9-hole golf course would be like a huge space for skill. And there could be even like a, business that's like, hey, we have this space, like this is a dedicated space where you're supposed to do these things. You could come and do your pogo stick. We got skateboard stuff too. So all the stuff that's related to skill. Now then the question would be, well, would they have batting cages and mini golf and a driving range? Well, that would be up to the owner, like, what they decide.